Hey guys, remember I showed you this in the last video. This is my Sony professional recording Walkman from the 90s, I guess this one would have been 80s or 90s, somewhere in there. And we have a servo problem on this. This unit uses a servo motor to or servo to control the capstan speed, and we have a servo motor problem. When you squeeze the case, the speed goes through the roof like it's going into fast forward. So in this video we're going to remove the cover off this thing and take a look under the hood and see whether we can get this thing going. I'm pretty confident that I can. I think probably what we're going to find is a broken connection in the servo feedback circuit, probably the frequency generator that provides the reference of the motor speed to the motor speed control. That's what I'm thinking we're going to find. But we got to take this cabinet apart to do that, and we've got these little bloody screws that are ridiculously small to take out. I also know that there's going to be a spring in here that if I'm not careful I'm going to lose, and if I lose it I'm going to be screwed because that's the only thing that holds the cover shut. So let's just very carefully remove the screws from this unit. I'm going to put them out of the way here on my bench. And I am going to intentionally take off the catch because I don't want the spring disappearing on me, so I'm going to remove the spring carefully once I get this cabinet apart. So once you take out the screws, the cabinets on these things usually just lifted right out quite easily. Just a little bit of coaxing and it should just, there we go. Look at that. Wow. Look at that guts in this thing. A lot of circuitry in this little small unit. The first thing I want to do is I want to, there's a switch there for the meter switch. Has to line up with the little cover here when I put it back together. What I want to make sure I do is I want to make sure that I don't lose the spring that holds this thing together. So I'm just going to lift it off ever so carefully and kind of remove it so that I get the spring, because I don't want to lose it. Where did it go? There it is right there. See what I'm talking about? This little tiny spring. You know, I don't want to lose that thing because I'll probably never find another one if I do. And we used to lose these things when I was servicing these units. We used to lose these springs left, right, and center. We used to buy these things, those compression springs as we call them. We used to, or spring / compression is what Sony called it. We used to buy these things by the bag of like, I don't know, 10 of them at a time. So I'm just going to put it in this little container just so that I don't lose the spring, because that's just one thing that is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to find. And that's what holds the door shut, so we don't want to lose that. Now, we've got the unit apart. Here's the servo motor. Zoom the camera in a bit here. As you can see, there's a red and white wire, and there's also a black and a brown wire coming off this motor, because there's a frequency generator in this motor assembly that provides a feedback loop, and these little wires are soldered down onto the circuit board. So I'm just going to kind of closely inspect this thing with my big magnifying glass, lift up the tape here and just see, make sure that there's no wires that are coming off, because they're very, very fine wires and they could easily come, oh, look at that, I see the problem already. See this black wire is supposed to be soldered down to the board somewhere, but it's not. It's come off the circuit board, and that is going to be our problem. Guaranteed, that's going to be our problem. We'll just take the rest of this tape off here. So somewhere on this board is where this black wire goes, and on close inspection it says servo. I don't know if you can read that there, but it says servo right here. This is our servo circuit for the motor, and one of these pads is probably going to be where the wire has come off of. I'm thinking it's probably that one right there, because the other black wire is going to this one, and it looks like, I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. Let's see if I can zoom it in a bit here. Whoops, without it going out of focus, that is. It kind of looks like that is where that wire was soldered down to, and that's kind of the position that I found it when I pulled the tape back. That's kind of like where it looks like it came from. So I'm going to warm up the soldering iron, and we're going to tack that wire back down there, and we'll test this sucker out and see if that fixes it. If that fixes it, that'd be great, because this is just a dynamite little tape recorder. These are actually worth quite a bit of money if you look them up on eBay to see what these professional recording Walkmans are going for. They're actually going for quite a bit of money, because there wasn't a lot of these ones. There was a lot of regular playback Walkmans made, but there wasn't a lot of these professional recording Walkmans that were made. And when you think about it, this thing had the same type of quality that you would get off of a home stereo cassette recorder. This would deliver, but you could use it portable. So it was in quite a unique position. So anyway, I'm going to warm up the soldering iron here, and once it's warmed up, we're going to solder that wire on there, and then we'll test it and see if it works. We're back. The soldering iron is going to be nice and warm now, and I'll get out my nice old vintage high lead content solder, because, well, we know that the shit that they sell today is crap. Really junk. This is superior stuff. So we'll just put a little bit of tin, a little bit of lead on the end of the wire here, if it can, without doing any more damage. Come on, you piece of junk. Okay. A little too much solder on the tip there. And now, very carefully, I don't know if you can see it here or not, but I'm just gonna throw a bit of solder onto the pad that I'm going to solder it to, and then I'm going to take the wire that's come off, and we're going to tack it back down where it belongs, just like that. And the one next to it don't look to be too healthy either, so we'll just redo the solder connection on it too. There we go. Okay. Now I've resoldered both of the black wires going to the servo motor. And I just noticed that this thing's got batteries in it, so hopefully I didn't damage anything. Now we just get to test this thing. And I got some headphones here to plug in to the headphone jack. And I just happen to have an old tape here from who knows when. And we'll just load the tape. Close it up and press the play button, which is this one. Sounds like the right speed to me. Take a listen. Whoops. Oh, I pressed the mute button. I was wondering why it went off. I have no idea what that is. There's our VU meter. Sounds like it's working to me. Ah, I like it. Ah. Oh boy, okay, that's working. I think that's the stop button over there. So now we get the fun part of putting this thing back together without losing pieces. The most difficult part to this whole assembly, we'll just take this tape that was on here and just kind of stick this back down here. Look at this masking tape. What were they thinking? I guess that's just to kind of hold the wires in place so that they don't get pinched in the back. Or maybe some service tech worked on this in the past. Usually Sony uses tape like this. I think that's probably what's happened, is this was serviced somewhere in the past, and whoever serviced it just stuck it down with masking tape. So now what we need to do is we need to find that eject lever, this thing here, and I'll just take the tape out of it for now. The eject lever sits in place like that, and we need to get the spring in. And what the spring does is the spring holds this in the latch position, because you push it behind the camera a bit, or move this over or something. You push the lever when it's latched, it's like this. You push it this way. So the spring is compressed on this side. It pushes this back like that. And it actually fits right in here. That's where the spring goes. So what we have to do is we have to actually put the spring into here and try and compress this thing without losing it. It sounds fun because it is. And I'm trying to remember how these things went. I think the spring, yeah, the spring goes on the right side because you push this to the left. So the spring is actually pushing it this way. This is what this little slot should be for here, if I'm not mistaken. If we put this in place and we put the back on the unit, I should be able to get the spring in from the other side. It's been a long time since I've worked on a Walkman. I'll say that right off the bat, because when I was in the business, I didn't fix Walkmans. I had a junior tech that did the Walkmans and stuff. I did the high-end products, so that should be locked there. We're going to put the screws into the cabinet first. Yeah, I had my junior technician. He'd do the telephones and the Walkmans and all the little piddly little crappy audio tape and little portable gadgets and stuff. And then I did the bigger things, the televisions, video cameras, and video recorders and stuff. But my assistant who did this stuff, he'd hand stuff over to me when it was beyond his ability, which was a lot of the stuff was beyond his ability. Okay, I got my little compression spring saved here, and I believe if I open this thing up, if I push the spring in this little slot in the behind here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a little hole in here. And if I push the compression spring in there, I should be able to slide it in place so that it will hold this thing in the latched mode. And we're going to use a dental pick for that. It just so happened that I have a couple of these funky dental picks just for that purpose. I've only got this one spring, so I hope like hell I don't lose it, because if I lose it, I'm kind of cursing here. More light. We need more light. Get the dental tool and kind of guide the spring in where it belongs, in the right orientation, and then we kind of got to just push it into place and hope it doesn't spring out on us. That's the biggest fear, is that when you're getting the spring almost in place, that it will kick out. It's always my biggest fear with these things. And see, it's almost in place, but not quite. And I know if I'm not careful, it's going to spring out, which it almost did. Again, I got to push this thing in, and at the same time try to hold it. And while holding it, try to get it in here. I'm just going to grab a little screwdriver and see if I can use a screwdriver to help push it in place. It's not helping matters that I can't see what the hell I'm doing with it. I'm getting a lot of glare off of the lights hitting this tape door, and it might make it a little easier if I actually remove the tape door. So let's do that, and it just may give me just a little bit more room to work, and let me see what I'm doing. So 2 screws here should remove this metal tape door. There we go. Now I should be able to see what I'm doing a little better. Let's see if I can get the spring to go in here without the spring flying out and getting lost. So we're gonna try and guide it in here with a screwdriver. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not. It's kind of an awkward angle, but I think I got it in there now. Almost. I almost got it in. I think it's in. Either that or I lost it. Okay, the spring is in there now, and it's doing its job. See that? The spring is in, and when I click the switch, the spring pulls the switch back. So I don't know if you can see it in here or not, but to put that spring back in, and it's hard to see, I know, but there's a little hole here, right? And we put the spring in into this little hole. We pushed it in this way and then used the screwdriver to pop it in there. Now that spring now returns the latch to the latched position. So now that I've got the cover off, you can actually appreciate this mechanism a little more. So we've got our pinch roller here, little rubber pinch roller. We have our capstan shaft. We have our record play amorphous head, I should say, and we have our erase head over here. If I load the tape will load without the I believe the tape will load without the, maybe it won't load without the cover on. It will. Tape will load without the cover on. And when I operate the play control, you'll see that it will actually raise the head. See that? And when I stop it, it will actually disengage the head. Let's put the the tape cover back on and see whether it will work properly once we get the tape cover reloaded. So there's the tape cover. We're just going to put the screws into it now. You think they could have made tinier screws? It's like the screws in the little camera. Ridiculous. At least they're magnetic. Or sometimes Sony would use an anti-magnetic metal for some of the screws. That made reassembling these small little itty bitty things a challenge. Okay, now that I've got the cover back on, we'll see what happens. Play, fast forward, rewind, and we'll plug our headphones in. We'll press play. Why did I pick that side? I have no idea what that is. I have no idea where this tape came from. I would never listen to that music, ever. I don't know where this is. I don't know where it came from. But oh well, at least I don't think YouTube will get upset for this. Anyway, there you go. My professional Walkman player has been repaired. You can see the view meter works. This level is really low on this tape. See, we got a little tape counter. Look at that. Tape type, normal, and chrome. Dolby noise reduction on and off. It's a little pause button that shuts off the motor. These are great little units. Thanks for watching. We'll keep them coming. I got a few others. I got a couple of other Walkmans which are, well, maybe not quite as rare as this, but unique. I've got an old Walkman F10 and a Walkman 10, which was the smallest cassette player that Sony made. And when the unit had no cassette in it, it was the size of a cassette in its box. He actually opened it up to put the tape in. I've got one of those. I gotta find it, but we'll service that on a future video. Thanks for watching.